Monday, December 11th, 2017 Zoning Board of Appeals regular meeting to order. If we could stand and pay respect to the flag. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Note for the roll that all members are present. Moving on to the approval of the agenda, I'd like to add agenda. I'm going to add it as number 8, which is really, I'm going to call it procedure, communications, and bylaws. Just kind of a quick review, end of the year. So that will move board member comments to 9 and adjournment to 10. Hear any other considerations on the agenda?
Make a motion to approve the amended agenda as presented.
Second that.
Other move to the board, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Minutes. I'll make a couple of quick notes first. Going to go over the typos. On page 3, I believe it's supposed to say murals. It says morals. So everywhere in that paragraph where it says morals should be changed to murals. There's a couple of them that I caught in there, kind of towards the middle of the paragraph and then down. So that should be changed to murals. I know it was a long meeting. I know we discussed a lot about, our procedure in doing it, and I don't know, when I read it, I was putting myself in a perspective of somebody 5 years down the road looking and wondering why we did it, and I'm wondering if the rest of the board felt maybe something in there, even a little descriptive paragraph that, we went through the signs and evaluated each sign individually and made determinations. I don't know, just something a little bit. The minutes are written well. It gives the key elements, but part of what's missing is why we came to that conclusion. And I'm just wondering if there's a way we could put that in if anybody else thought that was important. And some of the things that we talked about, we considered is because there was an addition of certain things, and that wasn't in there. We need to make a motion and then discuss it, or if we want to discuss it and then make a motion.
Well, let's discuss it.
I mean, basically just, it gives the findings of fact and says we agree with it, but it doesn't really say why. And I'm just wondering if there's a simple way to tie it together as to if someone can come up with how we we determined it's based on the number of the doors and the square footage and the uniqueness of the building, and that we evaluated the placement of each sign.
So maybe where it's saying that, it refers back to the drawings, in the motion.
Right.
Maybe there could be something in there to suggest that we went through these individually. In that print that shows that, right?
To add it. At this point, the board, reviewed the plans and evaluated each sign and placement of mural and made changes And then, if I remember right, we then had a recess where the applicant looked at those changes, and it says we had a recess, but the recess was to give the applicant time to really review it and come back with a determination if that would suit his needs, and that's how that lesser variance came up with. And that may tie it up. I'm just kind of looking for that, you know, how we did it, the methodology of it.
Yeah, there probably does need to be something in there.
You know, I know when we see stuff like this, now we go, how did that happen? Why did that happen?
Yeah.
And something that's important, because we saw definitively this is it, and I think also that that needed to be clearer, where it said on the motion, let's see here. About middle of the second page, it says a 5-minute recess. The recess was to give the applicant a time to look at the modifications that we made.
Of a lesser variance.
Of a lesser variance and the sizing, and then we went through the findings of fact after we all kind of came to a meeting of the minds, so to speak. But on the motion, I would also add about midway through that paragraph where it says, it starts with the center for a total signage of the building of 3,698 square feet. If sign S9 is changed, I'd like to see the words inserted, in any way. I think we made that clear. In any way. I want someone looking back at this, meaning, you know, if a part of the logo is changed, a configuration, something is added, it changed in any way, and I think that would make it very clear that unless that thing, you know, remains identical to as it is, they have to repaint it or change the logo or any style, because we talked about that new, I was going to say the same thing, just have the different logo on it. We said, no, that's a change. So I'm comfortable with the words in any way on that. And then my other question, the board remembers, I know we had the public hearing. I thought that Mary Ann spoke at that public hearing.
First one.
Pardon?
She didn't show up for a second one.
I know there was two here, they didn't speak. Okay, then we should probably, on that public hearing, we do need to add that there was nobody spoke. Just, that would be my recommendation, that we have the words, just like it is, I've seen other areas that, you know, no one spoke, that way there's no confusion later on. And then other than the addition of that description, the only other thing I saw is on, also on page 2, the bottom of the page, number 3, in the bullet point, it said the board members concurred that they granted a lesser variance and it would give relief to the applicant. I think it probably just for the timing of it, so the board members concurred that the granting of a lesser variance, you know, as discussed at that meeting, or at this meeting, would give relief to the applicant. Because we didn't really grant it until it's formally voted on, which was after findings of fact. So instead of they granted, it would say, that they will grant a lesser variance as discussed at this meeting.
Tie all this together. Now, how to tie all this together.
Yeah, so those are minor changes that are easy to put in. And then my last comment is on the last part about my comments, and we're going to discuss this more in item 8, but I see that somebody took the trouble to transcribe my words word for word, which was also in my packet. So if they're going to transcribe my words word for word, I propose that we delete this paragraph, because that's not what I said, and insert my word per word transcript. Because I never said that we were talking about our level of preparedness or lack of professionalism. My words are quite clearly said in the transcript. So I would propose we just eliminate that paragraph and replace it with what the transcript says and something to it. I'm assuming you guys got the transcript in your packet?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
Because there's nothing on it. Doesn't say who prepared it, why, or anything.
Well, it's not part of the minutes, no.
And you want the word for word in the minutes itself, that...
Well, I would accept a summary of it, but it's right here, it's already in print. It
Right.
would eliminate someone having to re-summarize that.
Yeah.
But what's stated in the paragraph of the proposed minutes is not what I said. I said it right there in the transcript. You know, my point was that could be taken out of context by someone. The zoning board is one that, you know, can be challenged in court. It's very important we, you know, don't expose the township to any unnecessary risk. And we just thought that was something we didn't need to do.
So the transcribed portion, where did that come from?
I don't know, but
No, I'm just saying this document is included in that packet.
I do not know. That was in our packet. It was not requested by me. I know nothing about it. The second portion of that transcript under the asterisks is not what I would put in that somebody's opinion.
But I'm just,
I'm done to that first paragraph.
right, I'm reading the first paragraph. Do we know that, I'm assuming came from the minutes, the recorded minutes?
I'm assuming that came from the tape.
Okay, well, where did this come from?
So somebody prepared that, most likely from the video of the meeting.
I'd like to know who did that.
Me too. That's our discussion in 8. I don't know who did that or why.
We have no idea where this
I
came
have
from.
no idea where that came from. It was not directed by me. It was not requested by me.
I'm a little uneasy about taking something that I don't know where it came from.
Well, I
don't know if
thought
it
if we want to
reflects the
summarize
record,
it,
taking it
basically-
verbatim and putting it in the record.
Right. I don't need it verbatim. Basically, I requested that those types of email not be made in any kind of group format. And the reason being, I don't want it interpreted wrong by somebody. I don't think it's necessary that that be put down. And I stated on the record that I believe that every member here has always come prepared and they've been diligent and have done their job.
I recall that. I guess I'm just not comfortable not knowing where this is.
Oh, I have no problem. If you're not comfortable, put it. I just said it was right there. That is what I said.
I just don't know why things get put in our packet that we have no idea where the source is.
Either do I, and that was what...
I'm not going to just willy-nilly just take it and put it in minutes of a meeting.
Right. I would be comfortable just replacing that last paragraph with, I just requested that those emails not be sent in any kind of group format. And the reason why. The board's been prepared. I've never had a problem with it. I didn't think it was necessary.
Well, if that last comment isn't true, we should take it out.
Yeah, the last comment isn't true. That's not what I said.
Right.
Those words were never used by me. You can see they're not in that transcript.
If we don't know where this transcript came from,
Right.
we shouldn't put that in there either. If you want to modify that.
Right, that's just saying, if you want to modify that last paragraph to just say that I requested that emails...
Would it be easier just to scratch it?
Yes, just scratch that entire paragraph, and what I wanted in there is just I requested that emails about meeting packets, picking up meeting packets, not be done in that manner. Everybody's been prepared, and it could be misunderstood.
And then the only question I have is if we're changing a motion, or changing the wording of the motion, is that something that has to be changed, re-voted on, or just modified?
No, the minute, this is our reflection of what we remember from the meeting.
Okay.
And I do remember clearly stating that it was to be, if it was going to be changed in any way.
Okay.
I know we have said that a couple of times.
A motion has to be rescinded. If you're changing a motion, it has to be rescinded.
That's not changing the motion.
If you're adding anything to the motion, it has to be rescinded. I got a 101 class on it.
So anything within page 3, the motion that I made, And that was supported by Mr. Walters.
That's not true, because tonight, we're doing the minutes for this. This is what we recall as what we said.
But you didn't listen to the tape, and the tape states what it's typed. What was said at the meeting.
No, we don't redo the motion. This is the minutes. And this motion is not official. Nothing is official until we vote on this tonight. After we vote on it, then it becomes an official action of this board.
I think Trustee Payne can vouch for the fact she had to rescind a motion at Township Board for the same reason. You guys had to rescind a motion,
Yes, we did.
and it was on legacy.
Yes.
What was it regarding? I mean, what was the situation?
Are you talking about the liquor license?
Well, you had to rescind a motion because it wasn't done right.
Yeah.
And then changes had to be made. Not just change it on the minutes.
All the forms.
Was it a content of the motion or a word that we're adding for clarification of what was said?
Well, this is actually all coming up on Wednesday, and then we got lawyers on every side going through this whole thing. So I can't speak to it real strongly, but it's the motion that's going to be rescinded on Wednesday.
Right here, if you follow Robert's Rule of Order, the motion to amend is perhaps the most single-use subsidiary motion allowed by Robert's Rule. You use this motion when you want to change wording of the motion under consideration. So if we change it, I think a motion has to be made.
It's during the meeting, though, right? And I think Kelly's suggesting to move or add the words "changed in any way."
We're clarifying the wording.
That's
We're not
in
amending.
any way. Like changed, I mean, it's changed. No matter in any way, I mean, right? And I know there's a couple typos in there too. Was there something else that I'm not remembering here?
Right, I mean, the typos are obviously a change as well, but I'm just going to look at our bylaws that you have in here. We've been doing it this way for years. When we see an error in something or something that needs to be clarified for years, our simple process has been done this way. If we're going to start changing our procedure, I suggest we discuss that in 8. At this point, for the changes we're making, I don't think they're significant enough to warrant going through a lot of them, other than just saying, this is how we're going to amend the minutes.
But I think mainly when we've done minutes, it's been grammatical and spelling. I don't recall inserting words.
Oh, yeah, we've done that before.
I don't recall.
Well, we could rerun the tape and postpone the approval of these minutes.
No, we could transcribe, and I'm fine with that. I want to make sure it's right, of course. That's our job, and that's our role.
I just remember we said that was one of the clear stipulations, that if that saying was in any way, I remember that being clarified.
Yeah, I mean, these clearly are summarized minutes. It's typically what we've done.
You can do a motion for an amendment to insert words. I mean, just cover your bases. make a motion to amend.
Yeah, the motion would be to amend the minutes, and in amending the minutes, you're amending the motion for the approval. I don't know.
And every change that you mention needs to be in the motion.
Other than grammar, right?
You just say grammar errors, right? Any additional.
That's all we've been, really.
Yeah.
When
If it's
you change
changing
the last
wording, then we need to make a
paragraph,
motion.
and you change the last paragraph.
I mean, if anybody's concerned, we can always postpone it to the next meeting, but I believe these are grammatical and structural. I don't think there's anything very complicated in these that we could amend and approve tonight.
So you're simply suggesting to add in any way after the word change in the motion.
Right, to correct morals to murals and change, add the words in any way on that paragraph. Yeah, page 2 was to just clarify that nobody spoke or nobody came forward at the public meeting or the public hearing.
And then on
Page
the,
2, 3 would be board members concurred that they will grant a lesser variance.
granting a lesser variance.
That granting of the lesser variance.
Yeah.
Yeah. And again, that's not in the motion, so we could,
No, but you need to make that, all of this would be need to make in a motion.
And the exact location.
And the last paragraph as well. Those would be, you know, if anybody wants to make that in the form of a motion.
so moving forward, when a public hearing is open and closed, and if nobody comments, we should put that
It
in.
generally is, it is later,
In a regular meeting minutes, we should be adding those words, is that what you're
yeah, it
suggesting?
was done, I think, even later in that meeting. Yeah, right there on the bottom of page 3. For the second public hearing, it says no comments were made.
I see. And that's what we need to add.
Right, that, for clarity, that should always be done.
But there was no public hearing that day. The public hearing was on September 11th. And it's noted.
So when we vote to approve or disapprove, we can basically disapprove the meeting, that's right, or vote on it, right, or approve it, right?
Right.
And then they would come back to the next meeting?
We can just postpone approval on that.
Yeah.
You can postpone approval, or you can
Okay,
make a
and then they
motion.
can go back to the tapes and re-summarize the meeting minutes? Is
Right.
that what we're suggesting? Okay.
Right. If you make a motion that the changes we talked about, you know, get put into another draft set of minutes to be brought forward.
And reviewed with the tapes and you make sure
Yeah,
that we're...
that we postpone this pending the receipt of that.
That'll be up to the secretary of the ZBA to do that. Not me.
What's the board pleasure?
Postpone.
I'll second that.
Can we go to motion?
I guess I'm going to make a motion.
Just because we don't have anything.
I was expecting Mr. Wall to make the motion, but I'll go ahead and do that. Regarding the Monday, October 9, 2017 minutes of the Oxford Township regular zoning board of appeals meeting, I'll make a motion that we postpone approval on that, subject to modifications based on discussion that we've had this evening.
I'll second that.
The discussion basically what we think needs to be in that sentence, so that should clarify that. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. This is time we're on item number 6, which is public comments on any items not on tonight's agenda. So this is your opportunity to discuss anything else other than your petition for tonight. Not having any other public here, we're going to move on to item number 7, which is our regular business. In the matter of ZBA 009.17, property located at 814 Vivian Lane. The applicant owners are, is that Porphyria?
Porphyria. Porphyria.
I will let you pronounce it perfectly when you come up, and Frederick Whitmire. And they're proposing to construct a 1,624 square foot detached garage. And the parcel is located in an R3 single family residential zoning district. I see the applicant is here. If you'd like to come up and present your case and state your name. Yes, please.
Rick Whitmire. I go by Rick.
Okay.
Frederick and Porphyria Mulatto. We're the homeowners at 814 Vivian Lane in Oxford. We purchased the house last year and moved in earlier this year. Previously we lived in Rochester Hills. I am retired, a retired automotive engineer. Porphyria is still working for the Oakland County Court System, the Circuit Court. We are requesting a variance to build a detached garage at the end of our driveway and behind our house. The front of the garage will be approximately 152 feet from the street. The only variance we're requesting is in the size of the garage, about 50% more than what is allowed in the present zoning. Our house is located at the very end of Vivian Lane on the cul-de-sac turnaround. It's the very end property on the street. Our property is 2.2 acres in size, which is larger than most properties on the street. And it's approximately 650 feet deep. The proposed garage is not a barn or a pole barn. It will be traditional construction. It will closely match the house. Hopefully when it's done, people will think it was originally built with the house. It will have a matching brick facade, 36-inch high, color-matching vinyl siding, and color-matching shingles on the roof. The side facing the street will have 2 single garage doors. It will be a single story, and because of the little bit of dip in the backyard, the new garage will be significantly lower than the peak of the house. A couple more pages. We have a number of reasons for requesting the variance, and I'd like to go through these. I know you have some of them in the package that you have. But some additional information. Porphyria and I are members of the North Oaks Corvette Club. We jointly own several classic show cars that require controlled storage conditions. Our cars are presently in storage locations in Rochester and Waterford. This is presently very inconvenient, and obviously we are paying multiple storage fees. We have both owned Corvettes for many decades, and our cars are very important to us. North Oaks Corvette Club is one of the oldest Corvette clubs in Michigan. It is a non-profit club with more than 50 member families. The club has activities through the year that support and fund local events and charities. Porphyria is one of the founding members and has been a member of the club since
1979.
I have belonged to the club for about 10 years. We obviously need room to store these cars. Number 2, Porphyria and I both have hobbies. I enjoy woodworking and metalworking in my retirement, and I need garage workshop space to do these things. We have no workshop space now. Porphyria is involved in scrapbooking as a hobby. She attends scrapbooking crops throughout the year and is involved in making personal items such as photo albums, greeting cards, and similar items. This also requires table and workbench space. A portion in the center of the proposed garage will be used as a small workshop for our hobby activities. This area would also contain traditional garage items such as air compressor, bicycles, workbench, toolboxes, portable generator, and etc. Many of these items that we presently have are stored in our basement and in a storage unit across M24 in Oxford. We often have garage items that need to be carried up the stairs in the middle of our house and then through the house to get them outside. Obviously, this is a real problem, especially at our age right now. She didn't know I was going to say that. Number 3, we have a significant number of lawn and garden items that need to be stored. These items will be located in the back 1/3 of the new garage. Presently, this would include a riding lawnmower, a riding garden tractor, 2 hand mowers, wheelbarrow, lawn trailer, hedge trimmers, rakes, shovels, potting soil, and all of those items. Storage of these items is presently scattered between our house, basement, and a small 12 by 12 shed that is presently in the location where the garage will be located. This shed will be moved or demolished. Number 4, our property is at the far north end of the township. It is bordered on one side by the high-tension power lines, the back borders Davison Lake Road, and much of the east side borders M24. One side of our property has the west side has a wide berm of trees underneath the high-tension lines, and the other side has a row of pine trees to block the view of the garage. The proposed garage will mainly be seen from the front of our house and will look just like a 2-car garage. The garage will only be used for personal activities. We are not racers or hot rodders. Our cars have mufflers and are quieter, cleaner, and drive slower than most cars on the road, even in the summertime. We have classic car insurance, and our average mileage per car is less than 300 miles per year. In addition, number 6, we have signed letters from the 5 neighbors who have property that immediately abuts or touches our property. Each of these neighbors has signed a separate letter confirming that they have no problem with us building the garage as proposed. I have those here. Let me present those to you tonight. Number 7, we are requesting zoning consideration and accommodation based on a number of things: the location of our property, the trees that separate our property from our neighbors, and obviously the size of our property. Number 8, we have made every attempt in the design and location of the garage to accommodate the look and feel of the subdivision. Cars turning around at the end of the street should see the new garage as a traditional-looking detached 2-car garage. We always try to be good neighbors. We plan to spend our retirement years in Oxford at our new home, and we'll make every effort to keep our property clean, quiet, and neighborly. So with that, if I could, I'd like to present the 5 letters from the neighbors. And also I've prepared another map which shows you where those neighbors are located, their name, address, that type of information.
Is it that same copy? Is it 2 copies?
There's 2 copies.
Yeah, I brought 3.
Identical copies?
Yeah.
Oh,
Okay.
okay.
Okay, so the map, see here. There are some letters, I'll get to the letters in a moment. Did you have anything else?
In addition to that, I have a couple of pictures. One is the house we moved from in Rochester Hills had a 2-car garage. Obviously, a 2-car garage is far less than we can use. I just wanted to show you what our 2-car garage looks like, the cars in there. And the point I'm trying to make there is basically everything in that garage right now is in storage. We don't have any room for it whatsoever.
And is this our copy here?
Yes, absolutely,
Okay. All right.
absolutely. And then finally, if you'd like to take a look at the cars, you can see that they're not hot rods or you won't find any rust on them either.
I'll hold those up to the members in just a moment.
Okay. And that's basically.
Okay, I've got a couple quick questions for you.
Yes.
The shed that's there,
Mhm.
we need confirmation on the size and if that shed will stay up if you build this garage, or will it be removed?
It will be removed.
Okay, the shed will be...
It's a 12 by 12 right now. Short 12 by 12. It's a barn style. So I think the property will actually look better. Instead of seeing the barn style shed from the road, you'll see
Okay.
the two-car garage.
And I'm going to ask the board there if they have any questions.
I did. How many cars are we talking about?
We have 3 classic Corvettes.
3 vets?
Right now, yes.
Plus our regular driving cars.
Right.
How tall will your garage be?
The garage, it'll be 15 foot. Actually, the peak will be 18, but 15 feet to the middle of the trusses. And again, we have a dip in our backyard that goes down 6 or 7 feet. So even at that, the actual peak will be much lower than the house. And then from the road, because the garage is quite a ways behind the house, it'll actually appear even lower than that. So the peak of the garage will be physically much lower and will appear even lower.
And you said you're using this garage for personal use? There's no rent coming out of this,
No.
or any business aspects?
Absolutely not. Absolutely not. We're looking at basically 3 sections in it. The first section towards the front where the garage doors are would be the car storage. The middle section will have a small service store on the side, which will basically be used for our hobbies and scrapbooking and the equipment that I have, you know, drill press, bandsaw, you know, that type of thing. As well as garage items. We have 3 bicycles too, which are in the basement now, which will go in there, and a number of other items.
And the current size of your home now, including the attached garage, is 1624, is that?
No, sir. 1624 is the living space, and then it's 2,300 square feet is the total size of the building now. If you subtract out the 625 for the attached garage, we end up with 1675 square feet of living space. And then we have to subtract out the garage a second time because it's considered an attached, or an attached garage is considered the same as a detached accessory building in this ordinance.
Can you go over that again? I think I missed it.
Yeah.
There's some stuff I kind of missed. Okay, because we have, our information is that the existing dwelling is 1,624 feet inside.
That's the living space.
That's living, okay.
Living space, yes.
1624 living.
Yes. In fact, if I can give you one more sheet, that was provided when our builder
And so
put
in
in for
addition...
building application.
Okay. So the floor area...
Essentially, we're requesting a garage that's the size of the living space, so it'll be about 2/3 the size of the existing dwelling that's there.
You're saying that the square footage is 1675. If I understand, 1624, which is probably off the assessing sheet.
That might be the garage. The garage, I think, is something like that. 16 something.
Well, I thought it was strange that the numbers were exactly the same. That it says that you're proposing to construct a 1,624 square foot garage, and your house is currently 1,624. It's like, it's a miracle they match exactly.
Well, no, actually, the house is, the living space is actually a little bit larger because with the ordinance, as I understand it, and as my builder explained it, that includes the front porch because it has pillars on it.
Right.
You may be more familiar with it.
So you don't know
But
what
the bottom line is the garage won't be any larger than the living space.
So you don't know what your
It will be
assessing
smaller.
sheet says. I wish they would have printed that.
I'm not sure exactly.
We have that right here at the township. It tells you what the county says the square feet of your house is, what you're taxed on.
Right.
And it's only important because we're down to calculating square feet for a variance. We have your mortgage statement. By the way, you got a great rate. I would ask that the permanent file for this black out the account number and even like mortgage amount. Because this goes in a permanent record, but I'm uncomfortable with your account number being on the permanent files.
Yeah, it's almost like having an SS in there.
Yeah, it's just, it's a discrepancy and you don't have like a mortgage,
I don't have anything with me I can provide it.
Okay, so what we have here is you're saying that it's 600, or applicant has submitted documentation stating that the floor area is 2,300 square feet.
Yes.
The garage area is 625 square feet. And so that the net floor area is 1,675 square feet.
Sounds about right.
So,
One discrepancy might come in from, it's a 24 by 24 garage, and I think sometimes they go 25 by 25, and other times they go inside and call it a 24 by 24. So.
okay, and so you're saying the garage is 625, the planner has it as 480. All right, I'll let the board figure out what numbers.
Our proposed garage is essentially the same size as our living area, minus the front porch. Again, I wasn't even aware that my builder informed me of that the front porch, because it has pillars, is considered part of the living area, whereas a deck without the pillars would not be considered living area.
Yeah, and I'm going to look up in a minute. I have our ordinance to see how we calculate gross area, because maybe
it can be a little confusing. When we applied for the permit, we came in and talked to the building department and a number of people here. I was with the builder. We filled out all the paperwork. We thought everything was in order. And when they came up to stake it, is when we found out that they turned us down. So my builder was actually under the impression that we wouldn't have any problem with it. That your detached garage could be the same size as your living area. Well, it turns out that the attached garage is considered the same as a detached accessory building. So you have to subtract that garage square footage out a second time.
The gross floor area is calculated by outside measurements.
Yes.
And then we have usable floor area. So, well, I'm just going to make a note. We may need to look at what our definition for the ordinance we're requesting a variance from. What is it saying? We're calculating that based on, so we know. Different. The applicant has provided us the pictures which I'll show. Just kind of go around quickly. I just got the picture there. So. Picture there. This will be in our permanent file. Another picture. Wait. And then the picture of the garage, current garage. And then he has submitted some statements from that. I'll get to those in a minute. Were there any other questions from the board, the petitioner at this point?
A couple questions. You say you have 3 Corvettes.
Yes.
Which,
We have had more in the past.
what else, how many other cars are you going to be storing in there? typical 3-car garage is about 720 square feet, and you're
At
1,600.
this point in time, just those three.
What kind of hoists and repair facility you're going to be in there?
The only, I have a lift, a 4-post lift, which is just for raising one car above the other, so you can store one under the other, and you can change the oil, but you can't work on brakes or anything like that. It's just a storage lift. But I will have a number of woodworking and metalworking pieces of equipment in there.
Any other questions?
No.
All right, we'll have you sit down. We're going to do some findings. We may call you back up if we have any questions.
Okay.
We do have some letters that have been presented by the applicant, as well as map. And I'm sorry, I had one more question for you. It says there's a welcome to Oxford sign, and is that on your property?
That's physically on our property, yes.
And it's not in the road right away?
No, it's on our property.
Is that our property?
Yeah.
Okay, we said something you guys
Yeah,
agreed
take a
to.
look at it. It's a wooded area at the back of the property where we don't mow, and there's a little clearing there, and you can see the sign.
That was just my curiosity how it got there. I just saw that and it
We
kind of
didn't
struck
even realize it when we purchased the property. We didn't walk. When we looked at the property, it was very heavy and brushy. We couldn't even get through there, and we didn't even realize it was on our property until later when we were driving down M24, and hey, Oxford sign is on our property.
I'm a planning commissioner, and we talk a lot about trying to get welcome to Oxford signs and stuff, so this is something that, as this comes up, I'll be able to say, well, that's on their property, by the way.
You know whose property it's on.
It just struck me as odd that it would be on, but somebody probably thought it was road right away when they put it in there.
Oh, possibly.
Okay, so that's just a little tangent, I had to ask that one. Okay, so, he presented a site plan of the property with surrounding neighbors, and they're indicated here, and then there's a letter, which is a form letter, and I'll read the paragraph on the form letter. It says, applicant, owner. It says a subject parcel is located in an R3 single-family residential zoning district located off Ludwig Road on the east side of Ramsgate Lane. Approval of this application is submitted will require variance according to zoning ordinance 67A. Proposed garage would be 152 feet from the road. Proposed garage would be approximately 2/3 the size of the principal residence building, house, and attached garage. Proposed garage would be 1 story and less than 15 feet high. Proposed garage would be conventional 2x6 walls on 16-inch centers and trusses on 24-inch centers. The proposed garage would match colors of the principal residence. Bracket vinyl siding, shingles, and vinyl brick veneer. Proposed garage would have 2 color matching garage doors facing the road. Because of a slight dip in the backyard, only a portion of the top of the garage will be seen from the road. And then there's 2 checkbox areas. And one says, I have no problem with the garage as being built as proposed, and the other one says, I object to the garage being built as proposed. So, checking that I have no problem are neighbors Larry and Stephanie, looks like Wilmot, at 3888 Alex Court. Also checking I have no problems is Carrie Freeberger at 3912 Alex Court. Checking I have no problem is Brenda Green at 3960 Alex Court. Checking I have no problem is Donna and Lindsay Burton, sorry, that's Burton, at 801 Vivian Lane. And checking I have no problem is Mr. and Mrs. MacArthur King at 808 Vivian Lane. And then we have another correspondence that is quite long here. It's dated 12/11/2017. Who is our secretary? Are yours?
Oh, yes.
There we go. I like being the chair sometimes.
12/11/17 to the Zoning Board of Appeals. This letter is being sent to you because I'm unable to attend the meeting tonight. I am a neighboring resident on Vivian Lane and would like to say I oppose to the building of the proposed detached garage on 814 Vivian Lane. This is a single-family residential neighborhood, not rural property. Many neighbors already park boats, trailers, mobile homes, multiple vehicles on their lots that destroy the atmosphere of the subdivision. If this structure is allowed, it may open the door for other neighbors to build larger structures. Below, I have listed the other reasons why I am opposed to allowing the structure. Bullet point 1, owner requests state the proposed garage would be approximately 2/3 the size of the principal home and attached garage. Opposed. It appears his request is for a structure larger than his living area. Per section 6.2F of the zoning ordinance, the total floor area of all attached and detached accessory in the R3 zoning district shall not exceed the total floor area of the main dwelling on the same lot. Please maintain this ordinance. Bullet point, owner request states that the proposed garage will add value to the neighboring property owners. Opposed. I am very concerned that structures such as this will hurt my property value and that of other neighbors. Bullet point. Owner request states that the home and proposed garage would occupy only a small percentage of the lot. Opposed. The structure will be visible from the street and my home due to the irregular shaped lot and the angle of the lot where the structure is to be built. The owner's home and proposed structure will be the only portion of the lot visible from the street, making the lot appear to be very small. Next bullet point. Owner request states the proposed garage will match the material and color of the principal dwelling and the other houses on the street. Opposed. Many neighbors have added second garage, but none 1,624 square feet. My concern that a garage this large will harm the appeal of the spacious lots of the neighborhood. Next bullet point. Owner request states the structure will blend into the look of the lot. Opposed. I am concerned that a garage this large, that is larger than the living space of the home, will not blend into the look of the lot. The next bullet point. Owner request states they own several award-winning classic show cars that require quality storage. The cars are in Page Commercial Storage with parking restrictions. Opposed. The owner purchased the home in 2017 knowing the home did not fit their needs. He already owns several classic show cars. My concern is whether all these cars will be stored in the new structure are titled to the resident, or is he storing other cars, or is he storing other owners' cars also? Is he collecting an award-winning cars a business? Next bullet point. Owner request states that a smaller garage will not provide them with the required space needed for parking vehicles in the winter and the need to carry heavy items through the house to the basement for storage. He also stated they have a garage items in storage unit because they have no room to move or store these items. Opposed. The owners purchased the home in 2007 knowing the home did not fit their needs. He already owned the vehicles and garage items that are in storage. Next bullet point. Owner request states the allowed area of the detached garage is not sufficient for the residential use required by the two homeowners. Opposed. Since the home was built, it was always occupied by more than two residents. Next bullet point. Owner request states the substantial size of the property creates a need for additional storage space for lawn and garden equipment to maintain the house and yard. Owner stated he needs 2 riding mowers, 2 trimming mowers, lawn cart, wheelbarrow, yard tools, garage bench, tools, etc. Owner states they need workshop space for woodworking, metalworking, and scrapbooking. Opposed. The home was built over 24 years ago and none of the previous owners needed a second garage to maintain the house and yard. They also raised children there. I have maintained a very large lot and store my riding mower, workbench, kids' toys, bikes, pool equipment, yard tools, two benches, glider, wishing well, 2 picnic tables, 8 chairs, generator, ladder, and 2 cars in my attached garage. I do not even have a shed. My many hobby supplies are in my basement. Please consider my concerns as a property owner and notify me of your decision as to allowing or disallowing the structure. Thank you for your time. Sincerely, Judy Beaver, 802 Vivian Lane.
Thank you.
Question, we're at 802.
Yes.
I'll show you.
It's,
Okay. Thank you very much. All right, I was just asking where 802 is in relation to your house. It looks like it's one house over, there's a house in the middle. And then, subject property is a house here, so 802 is this house here.
I looked it up on Zillow.
I'm sorry?
I looked it up on Zillow.
Thank you, because I was going to ask which house that was there. All right. I looked up 6.2. It says area in relation to principal building. The total area of all attached and detached accessory buildings shall not exceed the total floor area of the main dwelling. Okay. The total floor area of the main dwelling is the total area which would include the garage. It doesn't say total living area. So I need kind of a consensus because I'm looking at our definitions. On there. Just have it out here. The definitions, I had the 2 definitions of, was it gross floor area? Let me look here.
2-18.
So I had it flagged and it disappeared. There it is. Yeah, there's floor area gross and floor area usable. And then looking back and forth, total floor area shall not exceed the total floor area of the main building. Because it doesn't say the main building.
Floor area of the main dwelling. On the same line.
Okay, so now we have to go back to dwelling.
2-16.
Yep. Dwelling or dwelling unit. 1 or more rooms, the kitchen, self-contained. I'm just reading the whole thing. Mixed occupancy.
No kitchen, home.
Dwelling, 1 family. Okay. A detached building designed for designed for or occupied exclusively by 1 family, also known as a single-family dwelling. The building is the dwelling.
Well, the garage is,
Part of the building.
yeah, but it's not habitable. It's not heated living space.
It says
So it's
designed
considered as-
for or occupied exclusively by a family. So occupied means that they use it. I'm just catching on the word. A dwelling is a detached building. It doesn't say a building exclusive of non-livable areas. I've always heard the dwelling unit is the entire unit. It's just very confusing. It just seems to me like they're looking at the entire size of the
Right.
footprint.
In at 6.2C, it says attached accessory buildings and structures. Accessory buildings or structures which are attached to the principal building shall be considered a part of the principal building for the purposes of determining conformance with, oh, well, that's just
Right,
that.
but that's what I'm saying. I think they're including everything. It's like whatever's in that main footprint is the dwelling unit.
Is the dwelling
which
unit.
is, that's always been my understanding, is the dwelling unit. So when I go back to that and calculating it, it said that basically, see if I got this right, the total floor area of all attached and detached accessory buildings shall not exceed the total area of the main dwelling. So the total area of the main dwelling would include the garage. So you take this, the footprint of the garage.
No, the dwelling in
No.
2.16 or 216, you can look under dwelling or dwelling unit, it basically says one or more rooms with a bathroom and principal kitchen facilities designed as a self-contained unit for permanent or temporary occupancy by one family for living, cooking, sleeping purposes. I don't think they're living, sleeping, or cooking.
Well, if you look at dwelling one family, it's a detached building.
Correct.
Dwelling unit is generally the entire footprint.
When we're looking at ordinances, it is when your setbacks, yard, side setback, you're looking at the whole dwelling as a whole, but when you're occupied, right, or living space, it's basically.
Yeah, it's heated living space. Just like if you had attic trusses over a part of the house that's unfinished, that's not considered square footage of the dwelling because it's unfinished, unheated, non-living space.
Say that again?
Just like a garage and attic space is not heated, it's not living space.
Part of the dwelling.
It's part of the overall house, but it's not considered, that's why you have detached and attached.
Yeah, but then they call it detached accessory
Which is,
buildings.
What section are you in there?
Well, I'm going with F, which is the part of the schedule, and that's what they're actually getting the ordinance, the variance from, which is 6.2.
yeah,
Yeah, 6.2F. And so I'm looking at actual what they have to get a variance from. And it says that it shall not exceed the floor area of the main dwelling. And I'm saying the floor area of the main dwelling is the entire footprint of the home. That's generally, the dwelling unit is the entire footprint of the home.
no, the way,
Except that this says the total floor area of all attached and detached accessory buildings.
Right, so then I'm assuming what they do is they say your entire footprint is 2,000 square feet, and your attached garage is 500 of that 2,000 square feet, so you would be allowed up to 2,000 square feet in either attached, detached, so you'd allow another 1,500 feet of detached type garage, which would equal then the dwelling unit
Of 1,500,
of
yes.
2,000 feet.
No.
Which,
No.
no, I don't think that's what it's meant.
If you look, example, my house is 3,000 square feet of dwelling space. I also have an 800 square foot garage. It's part of that structure, but it's not living space. So my house is 3,000 square feet, the garage is 800. So I couldn't build a garage
That's 3,800 square feet.
that's 3,800 square feet.
right.
That's why.
Right, but
The 800 square feet, if I was looking to build,
we might be saying the same thing.
Okay, no.
the square footage of the detached garage is part of the calculation that you're looking for. If his main structure is, the main dwelling is 1,600 square feet, and the current garage is 400 square feet, that leaves him 1,200 square feet.
We just need to define what the true square footage is, because in Kyle Wortman's square footage
Yeah.
is different
that's
than
all.
what the applicant just mentioned, 2,300 of dwelling, 625
But doesn't Carlisle
garage.
Wortman get,
1575 garage space.
don't they get their measurements from our assessing rolls?
I'm assuming that's where they got it, but I'm also wondering if it's a typo because the numbers are exact, the 1624 and the 1624. It's exact same. And I'm wondering if that's maybe,
Except that all his calculations work out correctly, so it wouldn't
Yeah,
work out correctly if it
1624.
was just a typo.
plus the 480, which is the garage, plus the size of shed, which in this case would be 0.
But you also have the applicant who's testified this evening that the garage is 625 square feet.
Yeah, but he's also saying that the floor area is
300 square.
But that includes the garage.
And the
2,200.
front porch.
So to take that off, it's 1675 living space, right?
So it's 1675 living space,
Which
which
he
is close
said
to the
was.
1624.
So the variance is for,
The differential between the 1675.
in the 1624, so he can have up to a 1675 garage, detached, which, if those are correct,
Right, so
he wouldn't
assuming,
need a variance.
assuming,
No, everybody has,
so assuming the
But as long as he
1675,
takes down that shed.
right, the 1675
But his attached garage currently is 480 square feet.
minus
Well,
480.
he testified at
So
625.
Well, see, he's measuring exterior to exterior, and it looks like the square foot that you're measuring here is interior. It's kind of like apples and oranges. The measurement, it says that it looks like we're supposed to use this outside measurements, like the footprint. And I believe that, like what the assessing rule has, that's inside footprint. So without a survey,
Yeah,
we
yeah.
can kind of determine,
There's a measurement with the interior walls. You take the exterior wall, but it's the interior walls, like if
of
you
the
had a
garage. Yeah,
living space, right? So it's,
would be like removed, so the outer footprint's a little bit bigger, the garage would probably be smaller, so can't really take the exterior of the attached garage. I don't know where the 625 garage.
I think if it's detached, they go by the exterior wall. If it's attached, I think they go by interior because there's common walls, like for example.
I'm sorry, come to the podium. We're just going to get a little clarification on the garage.
Our
The planner
garage, for
says-
example, shares at least one whole wall and half of a portion of another wall. So you really can't go by the outside because there is no outside.
Right, the planner says your garage is smaller, which would benefit the calculation of allowing more of a non-attached accessory building, because the planner says his calculations show
He's
that,
saying it's 20 by 24.
yeah,
You get the 480.
that it's 480 square feet. And then the documents you gave us today show that the garage is 625 square feet. So that's why we're wondering, how did you come up with the 625?
I think from the outside measurement. I think I just
25 by 25.
I measured one way and measured the other way and then, just multiplied them. So I was a little on the high side, if you will.
So if you do,
So if it's 1675 and the garage is 625,
Well, if you look
the
up
accessory
on,
building could be, to meet code, as it is written, could be 1,050 square feet.
and for the planner,
And I think we're either Wortman got this or, because if you look up on Zillow, it's listed as 1,624 square feet.
Yeah, that would be the interior, not the exterior. Real estate's always done by interior measurement.
At least we know where he got his number from.
Pardon?
At least we know where he got his number from now.
Yeah.
Maybe Zillow got it from us.
Yeah, so I would assume that the exterior measurement would be slightly bigger. I could go with the
Yeah, it's got a 1,566 square foot basement, 1,624 square foot floor size.
yeah, because they always go by floor space and real estate is supposed to exterior measurement. So, you know, if the applicant's saying that the actual footprint of 2,300, that wouldn't be that far off when you're figuring walls.
And 592 square foot garage.
According to the planner, if it was 1624, that come up to me. So the planner says it's 1,144. So by those measurements, so according to the applicant's math, that's what he's saying, he gets, that he would be allowed 1,675 square feet. According to the planner, it would be 1,144. I do think the planner's base number of the house should be increased, because the calculations of the ordinance are intended to be exterior measurements.
Yeah, just,
And the garage, the way it's measured, is an exterior measurement, so to be fair in comparing the same, that we'd have to say that it's slightly bigger. I don't know. You understand what I'm saying?
No.
The garage is being measured on exterior measurement, but the planner's measurement of the size of the house is based on interior square feet, not exterior.
Well, that's because the ordinance says total floor
The
area.
total floor area says that we're supposed to be measuring exterior wall. That was that first one I looked up.
Okay.
The total floor area says
Should be
gross floor
measuring.
area includes the garage and its exterior wall. And I just, that's the one I had looked up in the beginning. Floor area gross is the sum of the gross horizontal area of the floor or floors measured from the exterior faces of the exterior walls. And then there's usable floor area.
And so do we have that measurement?
But no, we don't, and that's why I'm saying if we're using the measurement of the garage as exterior, we should be using the measurement of the house as exterior. Otherwise, it should be interior to interior, because you get penalized all that wall space. So we can make an estimate of what we think the actual floor area is.
Not that we're familiar with any of the particulars of the house. I don't know if we want to be doing that, making that estimate.
I would agree.
That's not really our job.
I just see a lot of numbers that are a lot different, right?
We have what the planner had come up with, and then we have what the applicant has testified is.
Yeah, I mean, 196 square feet for a shed, it's a 12 by 12, it's 144, so there's 50 feet right there, plus 52 feet, right? That's different.
Right. But you said he wouldn't include the shed, he's going to remove it?
Correct.
Yeah.
But when you come up with the 1144, there's a lot of, I guess you'd call it fuzzy math. And I think we need to be pretty diligent on that.
We need to.
Yeah, if we had a mortgage survey or a survey
Is
of the
there-
house, we'd be able to.
Can we, yeah, it'd be a lot easier, right?
Yeah.
To understand what the variance is going to be.
Come up a lot, helpful to have the actual real document.
I don't think we can make a decision based on the fact that none of these numbers coincide with any.
And not knowing dwelling.
Right.
What is our building department, what are we, I know we make the determinations that it's not certain, but, you know, is the dwelling including the garage, not including the garage? It's kind of going both ways.
I don't think it's including the garage, that's just
That's
from
the way
everything
the
I can
ordinance
read in here. But, and from what the planner says too. But we don't, none of these numbers match.
Yeah, it's just, my understanding, in residential terms, dwelling is like the entire,
But what our ordinance says,
the
and you
main-
read our ordinance, the ordinance clearly says, and it does,
it's a detached building.
one or more rooms with a bathroom and a principal kitchen, facilities designed
But
as
that's
a
the
self-contained
dwelling
unit.
unit. A
I'm
dwelling.
talking about a dwelling.
But look dwelling one family, because that's what it is.
Okay, but we're just talking about the word dwelling.
Right.
What is a dwelling?
We dealt with this at planning commission where they were just.
Well, this is the ZBA, so let's talk about,
Yeah.
I don't,
They're saying.
reading what the planner says, reading way I interpret what's in the ordinance, the garage is excluded.
Yeah.
You don't live in it,
I agree.
you don't have, there's no, it's not, unless it's done in that manner where it's approved, some people have done it to their garages, and it's a living space. In my mind, this is not a living space.
It's not heated, it's not egress windows, no, it's not habitable living.
So dwelling, in my mind, is the physical boundaries of the place where you live.
Well, he's
Without
defining
the
the
crack.
dwelling as including the garage at 624 square feet.
And that's not included. The house is 1,624 square feet, which means the detached garage and the new building cannot exceed 1,620 square feet, or 24 square feet. And he's already used up 480, according to this, which would leave him 1,144 square feet
Right.
of available garage space without a variance.
Yeah, according to what the planner's calculations are.
Yes.
But in his calculation, I'm just looking at, it says the dwelling as the total floor area of all accessory buildings cannot exceed the total floor area of the main dwelling. The maximum permitted combined floor area for accessory buildings on the site, including the attached garage, equals 1,624 square feet. Now, is he including the shed in that? The square footage of the existing detached shed has not been provided.
Well, and the comment was the shed was going to be torn down, so that wouldn't be factored in. So you go back to, there's 1,624 square feet of the house, 480 square feet of the attached garage, which leaves him 1,144 square feet of available garage, which standard 3-car garage is 700 square feet, so you're half again that big to store 3 vehicles without a variance.
Can we refer back to the planner's page 2? It says variance request 1,624 square feet, which is the size of the dwelling. He's adding the square footage of the garage and adding the size of the shed. That would give him a sum, and then you take off what the dwelling is, and that's what he's asking for, a variance.
Right, so if his
So the
calculations are...
1624 is the dwelling with the bathroom and the kitchen, right?
Right.
Right,
And he already has an existing garage plus the shed, but he takes the shed out of there, that gives him some more square footage for the...
But all
but what I'm saying
total,
is his definition of the 1624, that included the garage. But then you subtract the garage.
Not on this. It's
no,
not.
the house itself is 1,624 square feet of habitable living space, plus 480 square feet of detached garage, and that comes out of the total for the garage. So if you took his 1,624 square feet of his house, minus the 480 of the attached garage, that leaves him 1,144 square
I
feet.
understand what it's saying.
That's,
I'm just-
without a variance, that's all he has to play with.
So if you take the difference between the 1624 and the 1144,
Right.
That's the variance.
And if he leaves the 12 by 12 shed, he has 1,000 square feet.
So 16,
So if he tears down the shed, he has 1,144. Leaves the shed, he has 1,000. Either way, that's a very large garage.
Okay, so talking about that component, and then talking about the actual garage component
So
itself.
we're basically looking for a variance of 480 feet, square feet,
That, yep.
Yes.
based on the calculations of the planner.
Yeah, my general take when I looked at it, I know we don't have to follow our ordinance, it just, when you have the garage based on the house size, so if you have a bigger house, you have a bigger garage. So somebody who lived next door with a bigger house could have a garage this size. On the same piece of property or smaller property. That's kind of a strange way for an ordinance to be written as far as I'm concerned. And I know we're bound by this ordinance, but
Well, if he had a 1,624 square foot house and a 1,624 square foot attached garage, he couldn't even put a shed up.
Right.
right,
Because he's used all of his allotted space
Right.
with the attached garage.
right. I just think it's strange that we have an ordinance that kind of says your house size determines that, because
Could I make a comment?
I bounce.
One thing, my builder is Galley Construction. He was probably familiar with him. Does a lot of construction around here. He says most ordinances refer to the principal building as the garage and house, and then they refer to the living space as living space.
I agree with you. I'm trying to get the consensus of the board. That's
So
my
he was,
understanding.
all I'm saying is, I was confused, he was confused. Before we bought the house, I actually came in and talked to the building department, and the way it was explained to me, and I had him explain it a couple times, I still got the sheet that he gave me, was that you take the principal dwelling, the footprint of the principal dwelling, subtract the garage, and that's the total amount of detached building you can have. That's not the case.
Yeah, that's why we have some misunderstanding. Obviously,
We were confused. We looked for a house for 3 years, and when we bought that property, I says, well, I'm going to go into the township and make it crystal clear that I can build. And I thought I was there. The builder thought we were there, and then at the last minute, we found out that we had to get variance.
Right, well, I think, well, obviously down at this point, but I know what the board is saying, we're going to need a little bit more numbers and some clarifications on this to determine that. It is my understanding, I mean, like, my understanding is the dwelling, you just the entire thing. Then you remove the garage from that calculation to determine how much extra accessory building that you can have. So that the outer footprint doesn't exceed the inner footprint. So if you have no interior garage, your exterior building can equal your house size.
Yes. That's the way that
Yeah.
I would read this, yes.
So that part, makes sense. But not having a real, I'm not confident in the calculation of the square foot that's allowed. I'm not confident that it's an exterior measurement to know if that is really accurate.
I would agree. I don't, and that's not the body of this, not really the reason of this board to do that. We have what the applicant has testified to. We have what obviously has come off with some information. I can't believe the planner went out there and measured it, but obviously they have a source that they've used.
Right, and I'm confident that that source is livable square feet, which is interior. And since the measurement of the garage is being calculated on an exterior measurement, it's kind of, the applicant loses some space right off the bat, which I don't think is really intended. That's just my interpretation. It seems like when I'm reading the definition of dwelling and the square foot, it's on exterior measurement. So if we had the exterior measurement of the dwelling, and then the exterior measurement of the existing interior part of the garage, we could figure out what the difference is. I think it's somewhat, the variance would be somewhat less than, what was that number we would come up with, 400?
The request for the variance would be less than what's being proposed.
Somewhat less than what's being presented here as actual number. And we could go forward with it based on just what we had for size, or we could to get the information.
You mean either go for the 480 square
Assuming that's
foot
worst
variance?
case, yeah, and it could be less than that. I would assume it's less. This would be the worst case measurement.
Yeah.
And if you build the actual garage as the size intended, I think if we actually had the correct calculations, it would be less. Then that variance would be less.
Well, I think without knowing the exacts, you're going to be into the fuzzy math. I mean, if you don't have the information, I think it just needs to simply be a yes or a no.
With the sizes presented.
With the sizes presented, or a simple no. You almost have 1,100 square feet to play with. Use wisely. I mean, you're talking 3 cars and a 1,600 square foot garage. I think that's quite a bit of space.
I share your comment, Mr. Bailey. I do. I looked at the area map today.
Yeah.
Surrounding homes, and yes, there are accessory buildings that are there, but nothing that would appear, in my mind, to exceed.
Yeah, you're
primary home. And I did look at. I mean, a lot of the homes are very well defined. You can know what's a home, and you can know it's a garage. And the ones that I looked at in the surrounding areas did not exceed that.
Yeah, I mean, if you're in a rural area, I can understand that. This is a subdivision. Granted, they're bigger lots, but quite honestly, I think with the way the variance or the way the ordinance is written, that's a big enough garage for 3 cars. My personal opinion.
So,
Yeah, I looked at the size of the property. It's much larger than your typical R3. I also considered, house next door, the bigger house, could have a garage in excess of this size. And I don't see how one person can put one there and it's not a problem, the other it is. We have minimum house size requirements in those zoning districts, so the house can't be too small. But then you have your setback requirements. The garage can't be too close to the neighboring property, but then you have this property view, and to me the entire ordinance just doesn't seem equitable for that. Just being that the neighbor could have that same structure without a variance. The balance just seems to be missing, but I know we have to approve the variance request, as within our ordinance.
Pursuant to the ordinance requirements.
But my consideration is that just the size of the property. I mean, balancing the size of the property compared to most properties that that zoning district is written for. You could build 2 houses on that property and still meet the zoning. Is that, technically big enough to be split? So to me, it didn't seem in excess. I know it sounds like a big garage, but if the house was bigger, I think it's really just more like a small house in a bigger lot neighborhood. And that's the situation we have. I mean, technically, he could build an addition and then build the garage. I just kept going round and round on that one. It just I didn't see a purpose to not do it. Looking at the size of the property and saying, well, geez, they could split the property and someone could build a house and a whole other garage bigger than that if they built a big house. That same amount of property, you'd have another house and a bigger garage. And I'm going to mention this for planning commission to kind of look at this and see if there's another way to evaluate these buildings. We have a lot of this too on some of the properties that are zoned like this, but they're 10-acre pieces and they have barns on them. Yeah, that's just my take on it.
Well, without having all the actual math, I think it simply needs to be a yes, we
can improve the size of the garage.
Right. Or not approve it.
Or not approve it, exactly. Or smaller number, or whatever the word is. Are you planning to break ground in the next month or 2?
I'm not sure. It depends on the results of the meeting.
If this were approved today.
I waited all last year for the builder to complete his other projects, and he was ready to go late in the year, and then we found out we had to come for variance. I actually went to Kennedy Surveying to see if they would survey everything and come up with some solid numbers. They were 6 months behind.
Yeah.
I went to the building department here and asked if they would come out and measure it. They said, we don't do that. So I try to do the same thing you're doing, because I realize where the numbers can get a little confusing and measuring inside the garage, outside the garage, and you know, when they share walls and that type of thing. But I can assure you the garage will be much smaller than the principal building if you include the garage as part of the principal building.
No, we were just asking
Yeah.
if you had somebody ready to go. I know we're hitting in winter and this isn't the ideal time to go.
I have to contact him after the result of this. I either have to give him a yes or no. And I don't know if he's got other work scheduled now. That's the problem. I've already paid for all the design work and his leg work, you know. So, you know, depending on the results of this, I'll either have to determine yes or no, and then we may, you know, if we have to.
Callie, if he's going to continue to speak, could you please have him come to the microphone? Because I'm not picking up any of this.
I'm sorry.
Thank you.
So it's kind of up to the, you know, the meeting here as to what I'm not sure. I'm going to have to decide. I'm hoping that he can break ground in the spring, but by now he may have scheduled other work. He told me, you know, I'm going to go ahead and schedule other work now because we have to do variance.
I agree, but, you know, besides the fact that I just looked at the size of the parcel, the applicant's submission on the size is so much different than what the planner is saying. If we're looking at the applicant's 2,300 square foot, minus the garage, he's almost right at the allowed square foot. So we can postpone this and ask the applicant to submit a floor plan. I don't know if you have a mortgage survey. A lot of times a mortgage survey would have the exterior dimensions on it.
Okay.
And I know that the survey sheets, and I can only tell you by looking at a few, are usually generally very specific about exterior dimensions. Some of them have them on there for the assessor sheets. It may be on that.
Okay.
I'm not sure, but if possible, you are able to support that larger dwelling size of 2,300 square feet. That, I don't know if you're understanding the difference between what you're saying and the planner is saying is
I didn't know what the planner...
If the planner is saying that your square feet of the house is 1,624 minus the 480. So the square feet of your house would be, what is that, 1,200 and something square feet?
No.
1144.
Huh?
1144.
1144.
Our living space?
Yes.
Yeah.
No, absolutely
Oh,
not.
that's not what he's saying.
No,
absolutely not.
they're saying the square footage of the house is 1,624 square feet.
Yes.
But what this
Including
is
the
saying...
garage.
what-
That's including the garage, that's
Yeah,
what I keep
that's-
going back to.
No, that's not including the
That's
garage.
why we're
Yeah, so
confused with
there's an error right
Right.
there.
Right, that's what,
You can't include that or
I'm
even
really
smaller.
confused. I'm reading it both ways, and I
And
can
that's
make
why we would need the,
I can make an argument both ways, that it says it doesn't, it says it doesn't. I don't believe it's intended to include the garage, but even still, he said even if you don't include the garage, he's saying that the living square feet is 1,600 some square feet. You're saying it's bigger?
Oh, I did
I
say
tend to believe you that it's bigger and just looking,
The only difference that it's slightly bigger is we included the front porch, which is, you know, which I understand is included in that living space because it has the roof and the pillars. It's not enclosed, but it has the roof and the pillars. You might know more than I do, but
yeah, and
that's the way I understood it. So 1624 plus the front porch, I think, comes out to the 1675 of living space.
1675 in the living space?
Yeah. The living space plus the front porch, which is outside the front door, but
Because you're saying the floor of the main dwelling is 2,300, that's right. And
But that includes the
You're
garage.
including the garage.
yes.
Right. So the living space, okay, so you're saying the living space is 1675, he's saying 16.
So the proposed garage would be less than the living space if the calculation is right. And
So that's only off 50 feet then. So it's 50 feet off. They're not that far off.
Yeah, that would be the front part. But even if you didn't consider that, the proposed garage would be no bigger than the living space, even if you subtract it off the front porch.
So really, you're asking that the variances really comes right back to the amount of the interior garage, which is 480 square feet.
Yeah, and we said garage, or at least his letter, says it's 480. The applicant specified it's 625.
But then his starting is bigger. He says the house is 1675.
Again, 1675 plus 625 is 1,050. Would be what the ordinance would allow, above and beyond.
Yeah.
If we go with what's in Carlisle Workman's letter, it would be 1144.
So I said assuming the 1144 is right. The variance is around 480 square feet. I still think that's on the higher side if you're doing exterior calculations. It's probably something less than that. So I'm going to go back to the board here and see. How we want to proceed. So is that about 22 by 22 if you're trying to just format how much extra he would be allowed? Somewhere in there. 27 by 27? All right, well, let's go through our findings of fact. Maybe they'll give us an answer of what we want to do here. Let's go ahead and sit down. We're going to go through the findings of fact, which are stated in our ordinance for the granting of appeal, variance from the ordinance. Strict compliance with regulations or restrictions, strict compliance with restrictions covering area, setback, frontage, height, bulk, or density, or other non-use matters will unreasonably prevent the owner from using the property for a permitted purpose, or will render the ordinance conformity unless it's unnecessarily burdensome. Take a poll. Mr. Walters, we'll start on your side and work down that way.
I'm still thinking about that. Maybe move on to, and I'll come back to me.
Okay. I'll take that as a pass.
Yeah, I'll pass on that one.
I don't agree that it's unnecessarily burdensome. Again, this is a very large garage for 3 cars. So I don't see that this is making it unnecessarily burdensome if we are strict compliance with the zone.
I agree. It's not necessarily burdensome.
Yeah, there's still, under whatever scenario we look at, you can still either build 1,100, I mean, there's another, you can build 1,144 square feet or 1,150 square feet. All right, 1,050 square feet, it's still a sizable building. It's still a sizable building on a piece of property.
Well, it's the 400 and whatever.
Right.
The extra.
Yeah, but you still, I'm just saying, utilizing or using the measurements pro or con, however we do this, he still has the ability to meet within the ordinance requirements, build something that's 1,000 square feet.
And your standard
Pretty big.
3-car garage is 720-ish. So
Pretty sizable.
it's not unnecessarily burdensome.
Yeah, I agree.
Coming back to that, and when you're looking at all these numbers, you just can't really digest what the true number is. If we go with Cal Wortman's 1144 with a variance of 480, that's, like I concur, it's a fairly sizable garage at 1144 that wouldn't need a variance.
Right, you could build that without a variance.
Right.
today.
Right.
For me, I just keep going back to if the house next door was bigger, they could have that without a variance and do that same thing. It just, to me, it doesn't make logical sense in this case because of the size of the property.
Okay.
And I know some of the other houses in that area, I went a little bit farther down, and some do have, bigger barns and all that. That's just my opinion. I just don't see the rationale of sticking to this for that. To me, I'd rather see it a building with the cars inside than stored outside with temporary type things that wouldn't need a permit. I don't know. I do understand where everyone's coming back. To me, it just seems like a really strange way to do the ordinance when next door houses could have that same thing without a variance. I can't wrap my head around that one. It just doesn't make sense. The variance will do substantial justice to the applicant as well as to other property owners. Yeah, obviously it's
It'll apply,
the
yeah.
applicant.
It'll apply.
Some people find that having those things and additional structures on the property surrounding them can raise the value because the SCD and everything goes up. And we had another neighbor saying that they don't want it.
I think it applies, and the neighbor that said they did not want it also suggested that there's a lot of other campers and boats that are stored outside that are burdensome to their neighborhood as well. So this may...
That those things are allowed.
Yeah, those are allowed, but that this would give substantial justice to the applicant if it was approved.
Any other comments on that? A lesser variance requested will not give substantial relief to the applicant and will not be more consistent with justice to other property owners. I keep going back to the fact that another property owner could have something bigger than this. That's where I just can't do the math, so I have a problem with trying to figure that one out.
Concurrently, the owner could come in, put an addition onto his home, and could build his garage.
Right.
I mean, it's a roundabout way, but that's the way the ordinance reads.
Convert it into living space,
Right.
and then build that.
Right, that's the way the ordinance reads.
Wrap around. So I know there's ways to do it. The need for the variance is due to the unique circumstances peculiar to the property and not generally applicable to other properties. It's the same thing I go to. It's unique to this because your house is smaller than another house that might be in the neighborhood.
I'm not thinking it's unique.
No, I don't either.
Other than that, it's not unique.
Other than the size of the parcel,
Yeah.
it is one of the larger parcels. I will agree with that. Again, like looking at the map, others have built barns or whatever, garages that met the ordinance requirements, conceivably. Maybe it does. Conceivably.
Well, you should drive around out there. I'm just saying.
That engineer said to me, this is driving me, it's a tough one in my mind, I can't wrap my hand around it. And their lot, I look at their lot, it's way bigger, when you're looking at it, than the rest of them. It is much bigger than the rest of them.
It is, but, and I understand what you're saying, Callie, but
Yeah,
this is the way our ordinance is written.
it is.
Yep.
This is all we have the power to do anything about is.
Right, well, I'm just
on
saying
the
my
base-
factor in the determination is that that piece is much different than the rest. That's the only thing unique. I will say that the shape and the size of that piece
It's unique.
compared to the rest of them. That way, it is. That's the only thing that's unique. That is part of the difference, it's just a bigger lot. The problem and resulting need for the variance has not been self-created by the applicant and or the applicant's predecessors. I mean, it's self-created, the house is what it is. The variance has been there for, or the ordinance has been there for years, that part hasn't changed. The rest of our stuff just goes for the protection and the reason, the need for the variance. Well, we're probably not all going to just agree on everything, but I think there's a general consensus of the board here, so.
I think I'd like to get the numbers correct. And if is that okay with the applicant to postpone this
You like
till we get the correct numbers, so we make a fair judgment on this.
I don't know if that's going to change my opinion.
Yeah.
I think it's I don't think having the right numbers would change me to grant a variance.
I would agree with that.
Yeah.
I mean, if you're talking 50 to 100 square feet, fuzzy number, I keep going back to what 1,200 square foot barn as is or garage is plenty big enough for 3 Corvettes. I mean, we can go back and get the numbers.
And it may benefit the owner from that. I mean, the applicant for that particular thing. If we get determination what they can be, obviously that would solve the issue of but is that really our function here?
Well,
I mean, is it for us to determine what the size of that needs to be? No, it's really
It
more
has
for
to
the
pass, it has to.
for someone to tell us that.
Right.
I mean, I think we've been pretty clear tonight saying that here's what our definition of the dwelling is. Whatever that size is, you are allowed to have an accessory building attached or detached equal to that size of that, excluding whatever the attached garage's accessory use is and whatever the building could be. I think we've determined that as a board. At least maybe all of us, not all of us, but maybe some majority of us. So the only thing that's, the fussy math, as Mr. Walters has pointed out, there might be some benefit to the owner, and I'm not sure that's our function as this board to go and determine that. I mean, obviously, if the numbers work in his favor and he ends up with he can put a 1,044, that's even better than a 1050. It's a 94 square foot differential. But I don't know if that's our function as a board to determine that for them. Man, again, I don't think having the right numbers will change.
Well, for me,
my opinion.
if the floor area truly is 2,300 and his existing garage is 625, to me that would allow him 625, because my definition of dwelling.
Well, then he would need to come for a variance, though.
Exactly.
And that's why I'm saying we need to have the right numbers if there's a variance allowed or not.
Right. My biggest question is, are they looking at the total floor area? Or are they looking at the total floor area minus the garage? And I'm still confused with the 1624.
So I'm asking for a clarification.
Right.
Just
To me,
so we know, but if
clarification
it doesn't matter, I mean,
Yeah, to me, it doesn't matter. It does not matter to me.
Okay.
And what I would be my opinion and how I would vote on this.
And for me, it would be, if it was, like he said, if it was 50 feet difference, that I could handle, but no, I agree, it wouldn't make a difference. I suspect if they did measure it, if someone did measure it properly, that he'd have more square footage to work with. But I think everything we've seen tonight plainly states that the attached garage that is not included in the living area.
They just keep going back, it cannot exceed the total floor area of the main dwelling. What is that? If I actually had clarification on that, that would make a lot more sense. We can postpone it, pending that, answering that question, how the dwelling is calculated, and get a better understanding of that. Because if that's not clear, we may have to actually make that determination as part of this. And the actual true calculation, you can clarify if this calculation is correct. We have a calculation that the total floor area is 2,300 square feet from the applicant, and the total floor area is 1,600 feet from the planner. Those are the two things that I'm identifying as a discrepancy that I can't resolve with the information I have tonight. Does anyone?
I agree.
We're going to need, in order to pass this, it requires three. It requires three affirmative votes. So
Yes.
What is the vote?
To pass or to, pardon?
What are we voting on?
We're not, I'm just saying, in order for this to be approved, it would require three affirmative votes of the people here tonight. I'm getting consensus there isn't three, but getting this information may help to resolve it one way or the other.
I agree with that, yes.
And in fairness to the applicant,
Right.
we'll have all the information.
Right.
Since there is a
I
discrepancy.
wouldn't vote against having it come back.
I wouldn't.
I wouldn't either.
Right, and at this point, I wouldn't be in favor of voting to not deny, or to deny it. At this point, I don't have enough information that we have to do that. So for me, I'd like that information, those two things clarified. Is there anything else that we would need? Because clarification, I'm seeing, we need from the planner.
You want clarification on?
And also the petitioner to actually present information on the total floor area. And if the petitioner could present us information that would show us that the floor area is larger than what's been calculated, that would definitely be helpful to them. So with that, we can...
And who are we going to say is going to give us the square footage, the outside
Well,
measurement?
we're giving the petitioner time to present us something that would be evidence-based, other than, we just have a piece of paper saying that we don't have anything that's evidence-based for this, so we would need a survey or something to back that information up.
But you can't get a surveyor out there.
Well, there's other ways he can do it. I don't know how he can do it, but you can't get...
There are ways.
There are ways to get that information.
Okay.
There are ways to take an aerial and do those type of things. So there's ways to do it, I think, within a reasonable, for what this board would need to make that determination. And then I think the other component would be, for me to get a direction from our planner on exactly how we calculate that dwelling and what we mean by that, and I can come up with a much better statement, or have him write a statement and look through our ordinance and do an evaluation on that. I mean, this may even, if it's not clearly spelled out, the planner can't actually point to things, this may actually just need an attorney review on this, I don't know. But to me, it seems that needs to be clarified, because I'm very confused as to how we calculate that dwelling unit. Does it include that exterior measurement, or the exterior measurement minus the garage? I think we're all saying the same thing, I'm just really still puzzled by it. Those two things are the things that I would need. So our determination at this point is to give you time to submit that evidence that we're looking for.
I guess I need a little clarification on what you would accept. So I need to get a surveyor to go out and...
I can't tell you what it is that you have to do, but what we need from you is, you presented us something that says that your floor plan is 2,300 square feet. If you can find us some a document or something that would give us a reasonable certainty that that's accurate, that's what.
I'm just wondering, I may be able to get a surveyor to come out and just measure the outside of the building or something like that. Would that be acceptable to the board?
You can submit whatever you feel is appropriate. This board
I just want to make sure that when I do submit that you guys, you accept it, you know?
I can feel free to ask the board what they would feel would be appropriate.
Well, if we're asking them to do this, we have to give them specification, direction. I can't just say for.
Well, I can't speak for me.
Whatever
I
you
can only
want.
speak for me, so I'm not sure what each individual member would like. I would be happy to.
I'm new enough to this, to the zoning board that I can't say what, you know, it is. I would defer to my colleagues here.
I mean, for me, if I had a licensed professional, whether it be a licensed builder or somebody that actually put it on a piece of paper that there were measurements taken and these were the measurements and put a license behind it.
Okay.
For me, I would be confident with that. If that's only me,
Yeah, I think there needs to be some validation of it. I mean, you know, going by our definition of gross floor area,
yes.
I think that needs to be considered when the measurements are done. I could accept a builder. I don't think you need to go to have a licensed surveyor to do that, or an engineer. I don't see that being necessary.
And you feel that memeasurement of the outside of the building would be
There's a
sufficient?
definition that we have of gross and...
Yeah, on page 2-18,
Okay.
it's under gross floor area. It has the definition of how the measurement's done.
Okay.
Okay.
So for me, that's what I'd be looking for, is that gross measurement calculation.
I think you mentioned mortgage survey earlier too, Kelly, right?
Your
So
mortgage survey.
that's another option, right?
If you have a mortgage survey, it may have that on there. A lot of times they have the exterior dimensions on the mortgage survey. That's very common on that. I would be confident with that.
Do I?
So that would also, for me, I'd be confident with that. You as well.
Well,
Sure.
Legitimate mortgage survey. I can say that we can't guarantee.
Having reviewed a few mortgage surveys in my professional career, yeah, okay, sure.
Okay. So get that and submit it to the...
And yeah, if you can submit it, that would be great.
Okay.
You know, and as sheriff, I see something, if you submit it in plenty of time and I see something and it just doesn't look right, I'd be happy to give you feedback. I can only speak for me, but from the direction of the board, I think that might be helpful for you.
Well, I think the county has site plans
Yes.
that are measured,
Yeah.
so.
I
If you go to the
mine,
gateway,
I looked
go
at
to the
my
one-stop
file,
shop.
They had a drawing of it.
The one-stop shop has those.
yeah,
I could just look down the county, the register of deeds.
Yeah,
yeah.
it's on the one-stop shop. If you go in the
Well, one-stop shop.
profile,
Yeah.
if you go in the profile part of it, it's in there, you can get that information.
Yeah, they reach to the overhang on the house and everything. That's, you know, in my experience, that's what I've seen.
There's plenty of options, right?
So, and then the next step would be to determine whether we're including the garage.
Yeah, I will, I'll email the planner tomorrow with the concerns and questions that we had and ask for.
And when you get those answers, you'll let us
I
know,
will
right?
have him forward that to
Okay.
everybody.
Thank you.
As well as the petitioner, and then
Thank you.
we'll accumulate all that and meet at the next regularly scheduled meeting. That's why I'm asking timing wise. I don't think you'd want to pay for a special meeting at this point. We're just going to move this to the next regular meeting, which would be the one in January.
Okay.
And that's why I'm assuming with the weather, you probably weren't expecting to break ground.
Right.
Anyways. And we can get you a better answer.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
So do we need to make a motion to postpone, or?
I don't believe we need a motion to postpone.
Okay.
So we're going to postpone it, and we'll continue this at the January meeting, unless you're notified that that is changed for some reason. Otherwise, that will be on the agenda.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Because we're going to act on it.
Oh, did you want to...
We're going to put this in the file, and I'm going to need this to get to the plan. I don't feel like you have to stay for the rest of this. You won't hurt our feelings if you get out.
Thank you.
We're moving on to 7B, which is the meeting date. On our notice of meeting dates, it has the wrong meeting location.
Yes.
I was thinking of going to the vet's hall and I'm gonna have a beer.
Well, just have a beer then.
We're just gonna put it right back here. We'll change that. I know that the alternate date for the November meeting is then the first Monday.
Yes.
Other than that, all the dates look good.
I make a motion that we approve the amended to proposed 2018 meeting schedule for the Oxford Township Zoning Board of Appeals.
Second?
I'll second that.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Make that change, we approve that. Just going through, just kind of a year-end thing. I'd like to get everybody a copy of the bylaws, the most current one. The one I have, the last amendment was 2014, March 17th of 14. I'm not sure if everybody has the same one. But if everyone wants to go through it, the bylaws of the ZBA they're kind of slim compared to many others that I've seen. You know, even trying to get direction tonight on, like, you know, making the amendment and things like that. I know the planning commission ones have a lot more content on them. The Michigan State has some good sample minutes and things. I know just something to consider and maybe have ongoing discussion on that if we want to change some of these to update procedures like postponing and things like that, because we don't normally go to Robert's rules.
Sorry.
No. That's a typical fallback that people do, but it really is supposed to be spelled out in our minutes, and then if we see a conflict, then that's kind of a problem. And if we do go to Robert's rules, it needs to say so in the minute, or in the bylaws, how we would, you know, proceed, or what rules of order we would follow. There's options other than that we can follow, but that way we kind of know what to do next. That's just, you know, if the board wants, I can submit some of the samples that they have from.
It's okay. I'm in favor of okay.
Yeah, it's good. When I was looking tonight, it didn't even say really about the minutes. So it'd be nice to have a little bit more information in there. And we did kind of whip this together too, because that was required when we had the change in the planning act. It required us to have a set of bylaws, so they were, yeah, they were crunched together.
Although, you know, I'm in favor that also whatever you bring forward, we'd love to look at, but it does talk about items that you table. You said that it doesn't talk about items that you table.
It's tabling, but it doesn't.
Well, it's just same thing, tabling.
No, it's not. Table is at the end of the meeting. Table is at the end of the meeting. Table means that you put it at the end of the table and you bring it back.
Really?
Postponing means that you're taking it.
Gee, the township board always tables things for another meeting.
No, that's an incorrect solution.
Okay. Well, regardless, it says that they have tabled items may be brought back within 60 days.
Yeah, that's supposed to be postponed.
Well, regardless, it says if the applicant isn't present or if the sufficient data needed to take action has not been furnished.
Yeah, I saw that part, and this was what I was saying, was we didn't quite have the information. And that's why I was saying that we're going to put it on the next one, because we're expecting that information one way or another.
Yeah.
Because it said if the applicant, or if it doesn't get done, then it's new, but this isn't new. We're just carrying it forward. Because it's not necessarily the applicant's fault in any case. But yeah, this should be tabled is when you move it to the end of your agenda, and then postponed is when you actually delay it to a different day. But that's where the definition is supposed to be straight. And do we need a motion for it or not? Generally don't. And the other thing that we normally have in the bylaws is the duties and power of each of the positions. Normally the chairman is clearly spelled out, the secretary is spelled out, because generally the secretary is responsible for like the minutes and the accuracy and things like that. It's just not detailed enough. I'll have a little more information on that.
Yeah, I mean, it's there, but
and, you know, who to communicate with, you know, how the chain of command gets done. It does say that the vice chair, you know, presides in the absence of the chair. But there's maybe a little more information. You know, I'd like to discuss too the emails about picking up packets. I just don't think are beneficial. I really truly believe everybody here is prepared. There's been times where I come and I look at my packet and go through everything and I leave it in my box because I don't need it until I get to the meeting, and I'll pick it up ahead of time. So what's in somebody's mailbox doesn't mean they haven't looked at it, picked it up, or had that information provided in a different way. And, you know, we had this conversation at the last meeting, and I don't think it's beneficial. If somebody wants to, you know, question if somebody's going to be there at that meeting, that should be done through the chair, which is the chair's function. So if anybody can't make a meeting, you would notify me as the chair so that I would know. And the department head that handles that well, you know, that should be an email to both people so that the chair knows and that the recording secretary or whoever's handling the matters on, you know, at the township level knows. I believe that should be done in a different way. Generally, the bylaws would say something like that. If you can't attend a meeting, how you would say. You know, it's usually, typically you would email the chair and, or notify the chair and someone else. And doing it in group emails, I'd like to avoid those because that gives the appearance of a meeting. Those types of things, if there's a question about picking up a packet or if they're going to be at the meeting, it should be done on a one-on-one and not CC'd to everybody. That's not something that's a matter for everybody else. That's a matter between that person and the chair and whoever is, you know, directing it at the township level. It's just not, I don't see the purpose of it. And like I said, all that stuff, once that's done, that can be FOIA, that can be used in court, and it becomes a meeting when you start to have that dialogue. That's, you don't agree?
No, I don't. Township,
Where will you hear?
the township board does it continually.
What, picking up packets and...
No, just the CCing each other, or the whole board on correspondence. We do that on a regular basis.
Correspondence generally is if you're giving information of a procedural matter like a report and things like that, that's not a problem. But when you start communicating on a group email, now you're in that Open Meetings Act quasi problematic, because all discussion needs to be done at a public meeting.
If it's related to an agenda item.
No, if it's township business.
It's not township business to know if you're going to attend.
Purely procedural, meaning I'm giving you this packet for tonight's meeting, and a notification that you can't make the meeting could be done in a group setting, because that's procedural. That's just, I can't be at the meeting. But when you start having discussion about it, then it can become a problem. The safe course of action is always you email the specific entity that you need, or the minimum that you need, and it's usually done through the chair or through the liaison, whoever at the township.
I do think you're right about the topics. The topics of the specific topics of the agenda can't be discussed, but just, I mean, like the email that went around to everybody about the donation of the tree. I mean, that wasn't,
right, that's a,
you know, and this really wasn't. I don't know, I didn't read anything. Yeah, I didn't read anything into it, and I know because when I hold meetings with all of my board at work, and I walk by and go, these people haven't picked their stuff up, then I usually will tell my assistant, send it to everybody and tell them to pick their stuff up. Don't single out this person, but just say, your stuff's still in your box. Get prepared for the meeting. I mean, I do it at work all day long, so I didn't read anything into it, and I've been guilty of leaving my stuff up here until the night of the meeting. So honestly, I didn't read anything into it. So I don't-
Normally what we've done, if you can't make the meeting, you notify the chair, right?
Right.
And if you don't notify the chair, you're going to be there.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
I agree.
Yeah.
So the chair would know who's going to be there and if they need to get an alternate or not.
Right, and all of a sudden you find out that 2 people just said you can't,
Right.
make it, then I'm in the, oh, no, we need to cancel the meeting,
Yeah.
mode and let everybody else know.
Yeah.
And that's where canceling the meeting, those kind of things, I have no problem it being, that can be a group one to let other people know you're not going to be there, just in case if you're not sure, that could be a reason to say, there might be a chance I might not be able to make the meeting, and it kind of helps that person to
Exactly.
notice that there could be a problem. And, I'm not saying there's a problem with it, I'm just trying to get the procedure down so everybody knows it. But, in terms of the picking up the packet, to me, it's bothersome because it's implying something that might not be true. Some people, I've been known to come at, 4 o'clock on the day of the meeting and prepare for a couple hours. It just, depends, and it gets perceived as someone not being prepared. I don't think that's really the point. If somebody has a question about picking up the packet, it should be done specifically to that person. I don't see a point in emailing it to the group.
I took it as a notification, that's all, as a reminder.
Yeah.
And nothing else. That's all I took it as.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I took it as notification also, and I think that it would be a real pain for the person sending the email to have to do to each one of us individually.
Well, I don't think it's necessary. If there want to be reminders, you can say reminders of meeting packets are in there.
Yeah.
But, when you start naming names and doing that, that's just more work. Why are we doing that?
Well, and again, going back to, like I said, I do this for all my meetings, and usually I'll tell my assistant, hey, send messages to so-and-so, and if they say, well, I don't want to single somebody out, they're undermining what I've told them. So,
Just a meeting.
yeah, just, hey, get your packet, get your stuff, and that's coming from me through my assistant.
But you're not naming names.
But again, well, if I see that these 2 or 3 people constantly don't, yeah, sometimes I'll single them out but it's, again, it's just a, hey, get your packet. If I come up and prepare 2 hours before a meeting, I disregard the message saying, I'm coming up 2 hours before. But again, I've been guilty of leaving myself up here and coming in 10 minutes before going, oh crap, what are we talking about tonight? So I've been guilty of that one too. So I didn't read anything into it.
Right, well, part of being prepared is knowing your ordinance and doing it all. There's all kinds of ways to be prepared. Some items don't need as much legwork. It might be more reading the ordinance and stuff beforehand, knowing what you're going to get here.
I just, again, I didn't read anything into it.
But what I'm saying is it gets perceived by other people as needing much more. And that's my point. When it gets looked back and someone says, well, somebody didn't pick up their packet, but they don't know that someone came 4 hours before the meeting because that's the day they have off and that's the time. Or that they've already been and looked at it and left their information in the mailbox. That's what I'm saying. And being on the zoning board, those kind of things can be used in a report for challenges, anything that you put out there. You weren't prepared. Why leave yourself open for something like that? Because I really don't feel like anybody here has ever not been prepared. You know your ordinance. That's part of being prepared, in procedure. That's just my point. It just seems like there's a lot of unnecessary things going on that just don't need to be there.
You had a question?
Yes. Deanna Cushing, Deputy Supervisor. I'm just letting you know, you have no employee in the office. I do it out of common courtesy. I happen to be in Florida Keys, and I did it out of common courtesy to make your agendas, put them together early so you could get them. So if this is a problem, I am no longer doing them. It's going back to the chairperson. You will come in, you will do the agenda, you will make the packets, and you will pass them out and notify the people. As for the minutes adjustments, that's the job of the secretary. I will get you the file so you can do your verbatim.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear you.
As for the minutes and the changes that you're requesting that I cannot understand, they will be done by the Corey, the changes, or the verbatim. So you will need to come in and start doing your agenda. I will notify you when we have applications, and I will consider whether or not I will be doing the notices to the people. That might be the chair's job too. I work under the discretion of the supervisor, no one else. I do this out of common courtesy.
So our budget for zoning board does not include the taking of minutes and the preparation of meeting packets and the coordination with the applicant?
The only thing that it includes is us to take the minutes or take the application into the office and put it on a shelf. The other thing that your budget includes is a recording secretary, which is hired by the clerk's office.
So the recording secretary would not do the minutes?
They do the minutes, but they will not do your adjustments. Not what you're asking for.
The recording secretary does the minutes, but does not do the amendments to the minutes?
Not what you just asked for in the last motion. Nope. No, there's not going to be verbatim words. Nope. We don't have somebody on staff for that. If that's what you need verbatim, it will be provided to Corey, and he can do the verbatim.
I don't think anyone here is saying anything about verbatim. I'm saying
you're saying verbatim on the motion. I already verified and put in there what I heard on the motion as recording secretary. And then the clerk's department did the last comment of what you said, and word for word verbatim was down by Sue McCullough, because I wanted out of it. And we put it into the packet so that you could see what was actually said and what was driven and what we compiled into a paragraph. So there was no questions asked. So I will not be harassed. I will not take on any of this because I don't need to. I do it as a favor. So now it's back to the board's responsibility to get your own packets out, get your agenda made. The office will notify you, Kelly, when there's an application that came in. And then you can do it that way.
So there's
and
no
the recording
zoning
secretary will provide according.
Do we have a zoning administrator?
We have a zoning administrator that is hired, and you receive that, and it's an outside firm. They don't put packets together.
So what does our ordinance specify? Because there are requirements for a zoning administrator in our ordinance to do these types of functions.
He did. He provided you with a review letter that costs the township. It's not the applicant's fee. It doesn't say you have an administrative assistant. Nowhere. It doesn't say he compiles all the information and makes your agenda. We checked with other communities. We don't have to do it. Other communities, their people, their chairperson comes in and does it. You have no employee. You used to have Barb and they let her go, or she retired. You have no employee. I offered, but I don't have to do it.
I appreciate it.
I'm not going to be slammed every time.
Okay, so what I just heard is that we don't have any staff at the township here that puts together the meeting packets. Now, from a township board perspective, we don't have a budget for a zoning administrator to do that function.
Well, you should be familiar with your own budget. Are you not?
I am familiar, and our budget has a budget that we could have that for zoning. Zoning and planning.
You know, I approved 15 budgets.
I know.
Okay, and I do go through them, but off the top of my head, without it in front of me, I couldn't tell you the answer to that.
Yeah, planning and zoning was way under budget last year. I didn't know that related.
That very well may be, and you know, maybe we need to, at our next meeting, have a budget in front of us and go over that and decide if you want to hire someone to put together the packets or not. You know, from a township perspective, I do know that the deputy supervisor is, you know, at the pleasure of the supervisor. You know, outside of that, you know, whatever he tells her to do is what she
The
does.
clerk's office is responsible for the day-to-day operations, right? The clerk's office, I mean, our ordinance requires the township to have a zoning administrator. So.
And I think I heard her say that the
outside consultant.
The outside consultant is our zoning administrator. Yes, which, you know, we're of a size where we need to have an outside consultant, not someone on staff.
Correct.
So as far as what you're looking for is a secretarial type of position.
No, we're looking for a zoning administrator like every other township has. Addison Township and all those branches. You go in, there's somebody that prepares the packet and does the minutes and does the coordination.
I checked with
at the
Addison.
township level.
I checked with Addison. Their chairperson comes in.
Well, I checked with Addison too, and I got a different answer. on who does that, but
Okay, well,
And
I'm just going to say that this is beginning to look,
Can we take it offline? I mean,
Yeah.
this is something that, I mean, we're going into 9:20 right now. I gotta go get my daughter from the high school. I was supposed to pick her up at 9 o'clock. These meetings normally are an hour.
yeah.
We ran over an hour a couple hours ago. Let's take it offline. If we need to talk about this, let's go over to the supervisor and see what we need to do, or some
Yeah.
other forum here.
yeah.
So I see this going on another 10, 15
I don't know what
minutes.
the board wants to do. That's the point. All I'm saying is we have minutes that needed to be amended. It was a simple request for amended minutes. That's all it was.
We haven't had that since, for 7, 8 years,
Right, we've
probably
amended
10
minutes.
years. We've done grammar.
Great, it's never been a problem.
This is the first time in like 10 years we had to make a decision on some wording of
We've changed words
minutes.
before.
Well, I don't think so. I don't think
My recollection is we have only changed grammatic and spelling errors.
I appreciate what you've done. I think everyone know, I haven't taken it as a notification. Yeah, my name's been in every one of them. My job doesn't allow me to get here on time. I just got a key tonight. Now I can get here after hours.
Sure, I understand that.
Okay? But I just think that we should take this up, and I think there's a couple people here that are pretty upset. Let's cool off. Let's take a couple days and let's adjourn or the meeting and let's go meet somewhere else.
I make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.